Hi guys, I wanted to share my critical incident with you and remind you that critical incident is the incident according to David Tripp that appears typical rather than critical at first sight, but are rendered critical through analysis. So what happened to me was quite interesting. I always wanted to work in Montessori kinder, and since I had a child, so I wanted to try to work in Montessori school or Montessori kinder. And once I had a chance to apply to work in Montessori kindergarten. It was kindergarten, so for children from 3 to 5, actually 3 to 6, because it's Montessori environment. And I was very happy, and I was really like a child, Montessori child with absorbent mind, tried to take everything on board and learn about Montessori approaches and equipment and way to run the session and do lessons. Few things struck me straight away that whatever children were doing was called work, which I found a little bit uncomfortable. As an early childhood educator who graduated from university in Australia that promotes, as you know, play-based learning, so work was something a little bit unusual. And I always have my reflection diary on me, so I remember that I've written it down. But then other things started to happen, and one stood out as a critical incident. So I really like puppets, and I value drama art and literacy, especially emerging literacy, for early childhood environment, and it's one of my key strengths, I would say, and I'm really passionate about my puppets. So I have a big basket of puppets and actually a big container, and it's growing with these, so it's a big collection, and some of my puppets are truly unique, and I bought them overseas and I ordered them from people, found them in op shops. So I also link this the stories that children love to these puppets. So it's usually quite a show, when I show children puppets and then let them play with puppets, so and invite them to participate and act out. So one of my favorite stories are Big Turnip, and I like Three Baby Owls, and similar stories that invite children. So while I was running this show every morning, I also love to sing with children, and I have a lot of books with songs like Puff the Magic Dragon, Over the Rainbow, and Wash Your Face with Orange Juice. So I always kind of bring these things to classroom because it's part of my teaching expertise and pedagogy and one of my teaching tools. So one day I brought these puppets, and children were absolutely fascinated after the learning after this performance, and they wanted to play with my puppets outside. So they had a very nice cubby house, and I gave them this container and puppets and allowed them to play with puppets in this cubby house. So next day I found my container packed up and standing on top of the big cupboard. So I'm very small, so I couldn't reach, which I was kind of confused at first. And I asked who packed my puppets, thank you very much. So because I had to leave early. So next day, children asked to play with puppets, so I gave them puppets and they played a little bit. And next day I found that container is also packed and now removed from the room. So I wondered where my puppets are, and they told me to talk to the boss. So I went to my manager, and he was a male, young to middle-aged male, who had no experience in early childhood education, but he was one of the owners. And when I asked him where my puppets are, if he doesn't mind, I would like to offer them as a resource for children because they keep asking about my puppets. He told me that they don't know how to play with puppets. And I asked him, what do you mean? He said that in Montessori, we teach children how to look after things, and it should be a lesson. I said we had a lesson during group time, and I had a chat about how we look after puppets and how we put them back and how we put them on. But he wasn't satisfied, and he just said that he dismissed my comments and said that, no, they messed them up, and that's why I packed it away. So next day, children asked for puppets again, and I was concerned about it, and I said, okay, guys, how about we will read books instead? And we started to sing Puff the Magic Dragon, which was their favorite song and book. And the manager knocked at the door and interrupted in the middle of singing and invited me to have a chat with him. So I was concerned, but of course I stopped the group time, and then the other teacher took over. He told me that I should stop singing with children, which at this stage, as you can imagine, made me very, very confused and upset. And I asked him why. He said that this book, Path of the Magic Dragon, is not child appropriate. And also you are entertaining children, Kate, instead of teaching them. So for me, this was definitely a critical incident because it shocked me. It confronted me in many ways, and it involved conflict as well, because as a person with strong beliefs that are supported by evidence and research, I wanted to advocate for children and for children's play and access to the best resources. So the books I was using were approved by Book Council, and the puppets were also child appropriate. So of course there was just a clash of philosophies and probably misunderstanding. So this kind of accident made me consider the place where I was working, whether we are suitable for each other, and change my job and find a better place. But I still look back, and it gives me a lot of thoughts, and food for thoughts and reflection. So that's a situation that I encountered. Please share yours.